All right, we are green. Welcome back, my brothers and sisters. I am Braden. This is Langley Outdoors, the place where we not only talk about what's going on in the gun world, our beautiful country, how we're going to fix both those things together, and beautiful people. That is exactly what we're going to do because today, this episode, you're going to love every second of it. We're going to range the gambit right now. We're going to go from Gavin throwing the DEMS under the bus, Davey Hogg completely digging his grave even deeper with the DEMS, which is hilarious to watch. Then you're going to see Bernie Sanders throwing Chuck Schumer under the bus. Then we're going to wrap up with Pete Buttigieg trying to go to the moderate angle. Guys, this one you're going to love. And the reason this is so important is because what you're watching, and I'm about to show you, is the civil war inside the Democratic Party that's going to directly reflect on what they're going to try to go for with your gun rights. All the way to the extreme of Davey Hogg to the moderate version of what they're trying to put out with Pete Buttigieg. This is everything. And guys, please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn the notification bell on. You guys have responded extremely well in hitting that subscribe button to prove the YouTube algorithm that they will not cut your information, and I appreciate each and every one of you doing that. I'll show you the screenshots tomorrow because it is staggering. And with that said, make sure the audio and video is good. That is excellent. Guys, what we have prepared for you right now, you are going to love. Let's jump over to the workshop over here. All right. So, of course, make sure you follow me at Braden LOA on X, because that is where we talk about all sorts of things, including Antifa against everyday fights, and some Jamie Raskin being a hypocrite, all the good stuff. Make sure at Braden LOA. All right, let's get into this. First things first, because what kind of host would I be if I did not show you what Gavin Newsome just said about the Democrats and why they lost? He throws them under the bus. He hits every single hot ticket item, almost like he wants to appeal to the moderate to run for president. Yeah. All right, let me show you this first one. We're going to start off with the Gavster because I always bring the receipts. Check it out. By the way, they're linked in the description.
We lost. We lost the popular vote, and we lost the electoral vote. We got crushed. And we need to be humble about that, and we need to have some grace, and we need to understand why. Was it because of the incumbency penalty? Was it because of inflation? Was it because of interest rates? Was it because of immigration? Was it because we were too, quote unquote, woke? Was it because of the issues with Israel? Was it all of the above? I think we are going through that forensic. We need to understand it. At the same time, we also have to push back against the whitewaters and headwinds of the Trump administration.
Okay. Pro tip, by the way. Gavin Newsome, because you're going to see a lot of them in the future. Anytime you're reading his body language and he does this number, that means he's uncomfortable with what he's saying. Just a little tidbit. Anyway, doesn't matter. We'll cover that a lot more in the future. But he just went literally down every single way in what possible option that Kamala Harris just lost. Were we too woke? Did we just suck? Did the money suck? Did the interest rate suck? Did the economy suck? A guy who's towing the party line for the Democrats ain't going to say that. I'm just letting you know that's not going to happen. So take that for what it is. Okay, so that first, we're going to start off with that. That is Gavin Newsom trying to angle and throw the Democrats under the bus, but still get that moderate vote for the presidential. Guys, I'm telling you, that's what we're watching right now. You're seeing it here first. Like, this is what's going to be our gunfight in about 2.5 to 3 years from now. This is what you're going to be facing. Depends who wins this fight. That's why we're covering it. All right. So now let's go over to this little boy wonder, because this guy is on a quest to just bury himself 900 feet under the soil with all the moderate Democrats who he doesn't realize have a majority share of the vote. Listen to what he says right here, and he's just leaning into it. Remember, he's putting $20 million to destroy the Democrats in their incumbent seats. Okay, check it out.
You say equipped to fight. What exactly does that mean?
Would it look...
Oh, dang it. Hold on. Gotta refresh this. Problem with lies.
To fight. What exactly does that mean?
What it looks like is making sure, one, that they're actually able to show up at their committee hearings, making sure that they're, for one, showing up at town halls and they're talking to their constituents about what is going on in their districts. But for each candidate or for each elected official, it looks different, right? And let me be clear, I'm not just saying, well, if you're above a certain age, you shouldn't be there. Unfortunately, sucking is something that is not limited to being above a certain age, right? There are
who's in their 30s who sucks?
Right. What we're talking about is making sure that there are people that are here ready to fight and meet this moment and to build the future of the Democratic Party in our safer blue seats, where we see incredible young people like Congressman Maxwell Frost who've been elected, people like AOC and others. And I also want to remind people as well, some of the most prolific leaders in our party, whether it's Cory Booker, whether it's AOC, whether it's Ro Khanna, or even Hakeem Jeffries himself, all got there through Democratic primaries of incumbents.
The funniest part about that is he's trying to say that incumbency and open primaries is the way to go, but that's not the problem. The problem with Davey is, for all the moderates out there and all the middle-of-the-road Democrats, he's going after them directly from inside the tent while he still controls a main share of a political action committee doing it. Yeah, there's a few problems, but don't worry. Just because you're over 30 doesn't mean you suck. God, this kid is gonna get toasted. But that's not the only reason that we are here, because now I've got to show you Bernie Sanders. Again, I'm going to go ahead and reload the page first just so I don't run into that same problem. Listen to what he says around Chuck Schumer, and there's a reason that I'm going to tie all this together here in a second. Watch this, because you are hearing our gunfight. You're seeing it happen before they even get into that mode. That's why I do this, okay? Hold on. Listen to this.
So what is the strategy coming from Democrats on the Hill? Do you guys have a cohesive message on how to deal with Trump 100 days in? This is one part of what he had to say in response to that.
Our caucus is united. You know, look at this. The Republicans on this upcoming reconciliation bill, which sets the funding for the whole government, they're fighting with each other. Compare that to the Democrats. We're totally united. We're totally united in my caucus.
What Democrats lack right now is a vision for the future.
Now, I'm going to let him go on because he's about to rip him apart some more. Does this seem united to you? This is the whole point. This is why I'm covering these things. No one else in the gun world is touching this stuff. The reason why, it's not because they're bad or I'm good. It's because this is literally setting up the fight for what we're going to deal with in the future. All right? You've got Gavin Newsome right here talking about how DEMS just sucked at everything, appealing to the moderate lane. You have David Hogg right here trying to push the party farther left and getting rid of the moderate, middle-of-the-road, safe Democrats, pissing off the middle. And then you got Bernie Sanders, who's the far left, who's also pushing a little bit more towards Davey Hogg way, all right? He's attacking the establishment, who is Chuck Schumer. All of this has different flowcharts for our gun rights and gun control fight, which they're going to bring forward. All right, let me continue with Bernie Sanders, then I'll show you something else that's, I think, really important to say, because they're starting to say it in their own circles. Watch this.
I'm assuming you're...
I think that last guy was right, not the other guy, but the guy was on last.
So, I mean, it's not surprising. You believe you're right and Senator Schumer's wrong here.
You need an agenda. Did you hear? You're not united around what? Are we united around guaranteeing health care to all people? I am proud, by the way, that the Democrats supported an amendment that I offered to raise the minimum wage to $17 an hour. That's a start. Are we united in tackling a corrupt campaign finance system? Now, you tell me, you're an observer of these things. How do you deal with politics in America without understanding that billionaires play an enormously destructive role in both political parties?
Well, and you've been on this oligarchy tour, fighting the oligarchs across the United States. I'm going to show you the crowds in a moment because I want to get...
Okay, that part's not important. Okay, so one of my regular attendees, David and Rita Curl, just said that Schumer's moderate. I said the wrong word. I did not mean to say Schumer is moderate. What I'm trying to say is he's establishment, middle of the road. He's trying to run the establishment lane. Good catch on that. I'm not saying he's moderate. He's far left, but he's run the establishment. That's what I should say, not moderate. All right, so now you've got Sanders coming out and throwing crap at Schumer. Again, who doesn't love a millionaire socialist? But now I want to take you somewhere else really quickly. Now, as I mentioned a moment ago, they're starting to say this in their own circles, all right? This is from The Intelligencer in the New York Magazine. Hey, look who it is, our favorite friend, Davey Hogg. All right, listen to this. They're going to say the quiet part out loud, but again, they use these articles to circulate conversation talking points amongst themselves, because not everyone on our side reads this stuff. I take a lot of coffee to read this stuff. Anyway, 100 days into the Trump administration, and the left flank of the Democratic Party delivered a message to its politicians: do something or risk a Tea Party-like revolt from within your own ranks. By the way, I would like to make the note that they mocked the Tea Party when it was going on the right, but now that it's kind of evolved into a different thing, now all of a sudden it's the cool vibe thing to do. All right, anyway. Last week, Justice Democrats, this is the far left Democrats, the left-wing outfit that helped power Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez upset primary election victory in 2018, announced its first endorsement of this election cycle, getting behind Michigan House Representative member Donovan McKinney and his challenge to Sri Thanedar. That's a Democrat who just put forward a bill to impeach Trump. A first-term congressman from the Detroit suburbs, this followed David Hogg, the outspoken gun control advocate, and the new vice chair of the Democratic National Committee, announcing his own plan to raise upwards of $20 million to unseat what he terms as ineffective Democrat incumbents, a decision that was endorsed by Randy Weingarten, wait for it, the president of the American Federation of Teachers and a Democratic power broker. Guys, there is so much value in looking into what these people communicate with themselves, okay? You're seeing the far left Justice Democrats. So just so you know, the Justice Democrats are run, well, not really run, but they were started and they're pushed forward by Cenk Uygur over at the Young Turks. Okay? We're talking far left idealistic propaganda. Far left, okay? Now, they've partnered with Davey Hogg and Randy Weingarten, who runs the Federation of Teachers, who happen to get billions and billions of dollars from the federal government under the Biden administration. This is going to be a fight. That's why I say this, and now why the payoff of this. If Gavin Newsome, who's going towards the middle lane, he's not middle, he's not moderate, he's not right, he's far left. But if he feigns into the middle right here, and he beats Davey Hogg in all the primary elections, they go away. The middle road moderate, as they view themselves, or the establishment, keeps going. That brings our gun control fight into a different realm than if it's Davey Hogg and the far left progressives, who are basically like saying, get rid of guns. The Bernie Sanders, get rid of guns. The far left progressive fight that's going on against the establishment is coming to a boiling point, and it's only going to get worse in the primaries, which is why we hit this. All right, let's continue. Meanwhile, across the country, a record number of well-financed progressives are gearing up to take on Democratic incumbents who have been in office for decades. They are trying to purge the party and drive it left. Okay? Voters are starting to understand that a lot of Democratic office holders just effing suck and are not up to the challenge of taking on Elon Musk and Donald Trump, says someone for the Justice Democrats. They are pissed. They are coming after the establishment. Guys, the fight that's going to be occurring is going to directly reflect in these safe blue seats, because they're going to push the Democrats who are establishment, who toe the line in the Democrat Party, out, and they're going to move them in with left progressives, which are further down the road of gun control than the establishment are. That's the reason we cover these things, because guess what? Some states you can cross over and vote. Just saying. Let's keep going. So after Kamala Harris was defeated in November, there it is again. Many members of the party's left flank found themselves bearing the brunt of the blame as senior figures in the party said the left's newfound prominence had permanently damaged the Democratic brand. See that? The establishment fights back. We can't be the party of pronouns and land acknowledgments. We are bleeding people right now, and we are not going to get them back with the branding that we have. Felipe Reines, a longtime aide to Bill and Hillary Clinton establishment, told me in the weeks after the election. The left took the wrong lesson from the 2016 primary. They somehow decided that it meant the party needed to go even further to the left. Guys, you are looking at gun control, middle-of-the-road establishment versus far left, take everything, statist progressives fighting each other in the Democrat Party. Who wins determines the fight and how we have to fight. Let me show you this last little piece right down here. Center-left Democrats, told you they're going to fight back, meanwhile disagree that the party is on the cusp of a progressive takeover. They point to the 2024 election cycle results, which show the candidates like Sanders and Ocasio-Cortez underperformed Harris, as well as down-ballot elections which were won by Democrats who rejected the left. Quote, whether it is the 2024 election or the more recent elections, voters are leaning toward the more centrist candidates, and they are rejecting a lot of the more far-left progressive candidates, says Jim Kessler, the executive vice president for policy at Third Way, a center-left think tank. Progressives have not flipped a Republican-held seat in the House for at least 10 years, and that streak is likely to continue in 2026. And here's the payoff. I'll get Pete Buttigieg in here another time. Whatever, doesn't matter. Let's leave his face up. This is the big payoff right here. When you look at what they're doing in the far left progressive push, from the Davey Hoggs to the Sanders to all that, even Gavin Newsome's balking away from it. When you look at the far left progressive candidates that they're putting forward and they oust middle of the road, as they call them, establishment Democrats, and they put them with far left woke gender ideology, land acknowledgement progressives, they're going to lose those Democratic seats, which means there's going to be more red seats, which means it's even easier for us to push things forward. That's the secret thing that the Democrats don't want to say out loud. If the progressives win, they're going to lose even worse because they're going to double down on stupid. They're going to double down on Harris. That's what you're talking about. Remember that video I did a couple of days ago where I showed you Harris was getting a open for consideration and opening the door again? Same people. They're going to go farther left, and their quest to go farther left is going to knock out the moderate or the establishment Democrat and safe incumbency seats, and they're going to open up the seat to be flipped because the incumbency advantage is gone. Let them destroy themselves. I'm just narrating it the whole way through. Because the end of the day, the fight for our freedoms, and the fight for our gun rights, and the fight against gun control hangs in the balance of this, and we'll be fully prepped and knowing exactly what's happening when this comes about. And by the way, it's coming about in about 8 months. So let's get the popcorn and let's see who they're going to eat amongst themselves next. And that's what I've got for you guys. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and I'll see you on the next one. I'm Braden. See you later.